Coming up on this special year-end edition of Montclair News Lab, we look at bees and how climate change is affecting your ecosystem.
It's the biggest thing. We're in trouble. The human race is in trouble.
How horses are helping people with special needs.
The nice part with the hippotherapy also is it mimics the gait and the walking.
And later, a way for college students to find stylish clothes on a budget.
I'm pretty much looking for warmth, anything for comfort as well, and something stylish.
From the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University, this is Montclair News Lab. Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Montclair News Lab.
I'm Grace Rowland.
And I'm Carly Henriquez.
We're going to be taking you behind the scenes today, but that's later.
But first, we'll be talking about our year-long look into focused climate change and how it's affecting our environment.
Here is Emily Alba. She produced a story about bees. Emily, why did you choose bees?
I've always been interested in bees and how they produce honey and how the environment is affecting them specifically, so I wanted to do a story on that.
So what was one shocking fact you found?
One shocking fact I found out was that bees pollinate everything we eat, so without bees we basically don't have food.
All right, well, let's take a look at her story.
When you think of bees, you think of honey and getting bit.
I don't, because I've been stung by bees a lot of times, so I try to stay away from them as much as possible.
The honeybee, New Jersey's official state bug, is at the center of a $200 million industry. Nationwide, bees help pollinate nearly $15 billion worth of fruits and vegetables annually. That's 1 out of every 3 bites of food we take. Pollination occurs when a bee transfers pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. Beekeeper Gordon Kasner of Uncle Gordon's Bee Farm in North Bergen started keeping bees when he was a child. Recently, he turned his passion into a business.
I decided to have my own bees, so when I retire from work, I will have, instead of my hobby, I will have a little job extra in the summer that I can do. And I love to work with them.
But climate change is affecting businesses like Kasner's. William Tomaszewski runs a California foundation that teaches students the importance of bees to the ecosystem. We spoke with him on the phone.
And when we have climate change, we might have more severe weather. So if we have hurricanes or tornadoes, that can interrupt the cycle of the honeybee and actually destroy hives. If it's colder when it's supposed to be warm out, the bees aren't as active.
According to annual data from the Bee Informed Partnership, a nonprofit organization, due to our climate fluctuating and a longer winter, New Jersey beekeepers lost an average of 80% of their colonies just this year.
April is when you start taking care of the bees, and the bees, if it's too cold, the bees not going out, they stay in. If they come out, it's too cold, they die. So then they wait till March. We had to wait till almost the end of March to bring the bees in.
But William Tomaszewski says that not all hope is lost. There are things that can be done.
Don't use chemicals, don't use weed killers, don't use Roundup. If you have weeds in your garden, pull them by hand, because all these weeds have flowers on them, and when bees go to them, they get nectar and pollen from these flowers, and if you spray them, they're bringing chemicals back into their hive.
Beekeeper Kasner says that if we lose the honeybee, we lose a crucial part of our food chain.
It's the biggest thing. We're in trouble. The human race is in trouble because we won't have enough food to eat, because there won't nothing to be pollinizing the fruit. Only by the air. The air pollinizes some, but not enough.
A small bee, but a huge impact. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Emily Alba.
From bees to lake pollution, Jeremy Wall joins us now.
Jeremy, we know you did a story about a lake. How did you get involved?
Well, Carly, the opportunity came up when one of our producers brought it to our attention back in September, and we learned that the biology department here at Montclair State University has been going to the Greenwood Lake over in New Jersey and New York on that border to see how it's been impacted by climate change over the years. So we had the opportunity to show viewers how it's really suffering.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll get into the story.
Welcome to Greenwood Lake, a recreational body of water that straddles the border of New Jersey and New York.
It's a mecca for activity ranging from fishing
to boating, and even rock skipping. But it's not as safe as it might look, as there's trouble in paradise. This summer, part of the lake was closed for swimming due to harmful bacteria. Biology students Professor Megan Wu have been coming here for the past 5 years to measure the water levels.
We definitely will recommend that keeping a close eye on the lake condition and have routine, frequent monitoring so we can provide more up-to-date, accurate information to the local resident to let them know that when it's the time to avoid direct contact with the water, such as swimming.
Paul Zarillo, who's the chairperson of the Greenwood Lake Water Commission, has not been able to swim in it since early July due to this algae bloom he believes was caused by climate change.
The water got heated up very quickly along with the air temperature in early July. There's been an advisory with a lot of restrictions of using the water, no swimming on the Jersey side. And the complexity is that, again, being a bi-state lake, the restrictions in Jersey are a lot more rigid than in New York versus this algae.
Soil samples were collected to help find invertebrates to tell the story of the lake. In the mud, they will find bugs to help them look at water quality and how sensitive they are to pollution. Students, along with Dr. Wu and myself, hopped on a boat to test the water samples.
We will process the water sample that we collected, and mainly for the chemistry and biological data. And that will help them decide what type of management activity they should be doing in the future.
Residents hope to use the lake again next year. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Jeremy Wall.
Continuing the conversation of focused climate change, we now have Shanila Herman.
So Shanila, your story is about food waste in America. So how did you get interested in this?
So I kept on seeing all this food being wasted on campus, and I was always wondering, where does this food go after it's thrown out? And I actually found an organization here at Montclair State that actually recovers the food before it's thrown out. And I just got fascinated with it and wanted to write a story on it and produce the story.
Well, let's take a look.
Harriet Johnson is eating chicken, rice, and salad in the basement of Park United Methodist Church in Bloomfield. He's also saving the planet.
By coming here to this church, you're actually helping the environment. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't realize by coming here help the environment.
Rice?
Yes.
Park United Methodist Church is not only serving people in their community, but they're also helping to reduce food waste with the help of Montclair State University. Christina Zappazzotti is the president of Montclair State's Food Recovery Network. Every Wednesdays and Fridays, the organization redirects food from the Student Center to Montclair Emergency Services for the Homeless.
So that food that we recover, instead of going into landfills, goes to helping members in the community who are food insecure. Even though we only recover it's roughly around 3,000 pounds a semester, it's still 3,000 pounds that would have ended up in a landfill compared to like the billions of food that gets wasted every year.
Behind me is the Kearney landfill. And while I'm not allowed to go past this point, I brought with me a garbage bag to demonstrate some of the foods that you can find there decomposing.
A peeled banana, parts of a lettuce, and a lime too.
Food waste in relation to landfills, a significant amount, about 90% or even more, I believe, ends up in landfills.
Professor Eric Stern, who teaches Earth and Environmental Studies, says that when food decomposes, it creates methane gas. This gas goes straight to our ozone layer and warms up our planet. And there's another problem.
If you're concerned about food waste, you should be equally concerned about where they get the soil from. In the world, soil is an unrenewable resource. It's probably about 30 or 40 years of natural topsoil left in the world. We're running out of topsoil.
Apart from reducing food waste, the church is also creating a safe haven for people to mingle and eat. Gary Gross has been coming to the church for years.
I'm sure a lot of these people are lonely, and it gives you a chance to fraternize and commingle with people and share ideas and have a meal, and it's kind of a win-win, no-brainer.
From Montclair News Lab, this is Shanila German.
We move from climate change to two stories about people helping in our community. Layala Bukoff joins us now.
Layal, your story is about horse therapy. What's an interesting thing that you found out about it?
Actually, I found out that disabled children who can't walk, they can ride a horse, of course with help. And that movement reminds them of how it should be like walking.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, let's see her story.
Mainstream team in Aldwick, New Jersey.
uses horses as a vehicle to help the healing process of children and adults with special needs.
We offer weekly riding lessons to children and adults. And then on our therapy side, we offer occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech-language therapy, and counseling support services that incorporate the use of horses in treatment.
Meet 13-year-old Emma Boyce. When she was younger, she started experiencing developmental delays in her motor skills. She had difficulty gripping and holding objects. Her physiatrist recommended hippotherapy, which is a therapeutic treatment involving horse riding. This is when Emma's mom discovered Mainstream.
The nice part with the hippotherapy also is it mimics the gait and the walking. So because she's not walking independently, she walks with a gait trainer. This helps strengthen her core muscles to begin with, so she has nice tight core muscles. But in addition to that, it allows her to feel that movement of what it should be like walking.
Melanie Richards says, what makes hippotherapy special is that the manipulation of the body movement comes from getting on a horse.
When the horse moves its pelvis, it's moving the human pelvis in kind of the same way that we do when we're walking. So you have that whole biomechanic component that you can't get when working with a cat or a dog. Sometimes people just like horses better than cats and dogs.
According to Richards, 90% of the horses are donated, and each one has its own personality.
All of our horses come in on a trial period. We have them for about 30 days, and that's where we assess their ability to participate in our program. We also desensitize them to noises. I have kids who may be on the autism spectrum, do some hand flapping, might do some screaming, so we kind of try to replicate that within a session to make sure that our horses are going to be okay with it. Once the 30 days are up, we kind of make our decision, is this horse a good fit for us?
We think of horses as majestic creatures, but with the right training, they can also help those in need lead fuller lives. From Montclair News Lab, I am Layala Bukaf.
We have another story about people helping people in their communities.
Skylar Seitzman joins us now. So Skylar, you had a story about a town within a town. So can you tell us more about that?
So it's a place where people with disabilities and special needs come to feel included. There's a shop right there, there's a hair salon, and there's a bank, and they get to spend their money how they want to.
Wow. Well, that sounds really cool. So let's check it out.
This looks like any regular town in New Jersey. It has a movie theater, a bank, a coffee shop, even a ShopRite. But this isn't just any ordinary town. This is Lifetown. Lifetown is a place where children and young adults with disabilities have a chance to learn real-life skills, like how to manage money and time. Jonah Zimiles has seen firsthand what Lifetown can do.
I'm a parent. My son has been involved in the Friendship Circle, which is the organization that works here in Lifetown and has programs here in Lifetown for many years. And it's been really terrific for him in terms of introducing him and making friendships with typical kids and also giving all kinds of programming opportunities.
The children that come to Lifetown get to take real money out of the bank, and they get to choose where and how they want to spend their money, just like they would in real life. From stairs that sound like piano notes to a full-size football field, Lifetown is a place where people come to learn and feel comfortable. June Schechner has been a part of the Friendship Circle, which runs Lifetown for many years.
It changed my life, made me feel more connected to our community. I met their parents. Even though I don't have a child who has special needs, I have the empathy for them as parents and help them meet other parents.
The CEO of Lifetown, Zalman Grossbaum, says creating Lifetown wasn't easy.
Anytime you undertake a project of this magnitude, especially when it hasn't been done before, there's a lot of challenges, but really challenges are opportunities. And the opportunities to do something even more incredible. It created opportunities to get the whole community involved. We have over 2,600 gifts to this capital campaign to make it possible for all these children to enjoy themselves.
A community where people come to learn the skills of a lifetime. From Montclair News Lab, I'm Skylar Seitzman.
When you think of the holidays, you think of shopping. And we now have two stories about shopping. Joining us again is the ambitious Jeremy Wall.
Jeremy, would you ever want to go to the American Dream Mall?
Carly, I'd love to go to the American Dream Mall, and I had the pleasure of going inside there for this next piece to take a look and see what it's like. However, outside there, it's a different story, as not everyone is happy with the traffic it's creating.
Well, let's find out.
People waited years for the American Dream Mega Mall to open its doors. Residents living in and nearby this Secaucus neighborhood are not happy with its business.
It took me 55 minutes to go 15 miles the other night. We're stuck here. We can't get out on Route 3. It's impossible. It's the American disaster.
For many, the traffic off of Route 3 is already a nightmare, but for some, the mall's only making things worse.
It's really kind of ridiculous because it takes me about an hour to get to Hackensack from Secaucus, and it should not take that long.
Tom Kaminsky is an adjunct professor here at Montclair State and a traffic reporter for WCBS News Radio 880. He opened up to me about what he thinks of the traffic.
I think we'll really have to see how this is going to shake out once the rest of the mall opens.
While some are complaining about the traffic, others like Maria Aguilera are just dealing with it and only believe the traffic is just a weekend thing.
Traffic is starting to build up because maybe people are just curious. If you go there on weekdays, I don't think there'll be traffic.
But with the mall being across from MetLife Stadium, getting to and from it during football season will only create more chaos. The police chief of neighboring East Rutherford says they are figuring out their options.
Trying to figure out all kinds of plans on to divert traffic if we have to and reverse it, which is almost impossible. There's not too many places to go there. We do have a motorcycle unit, which isn't full-time as of yet, so that's an option for us. So we may have to have extra guys out or assign somebody just to the highways.
We've reached out to both MetLife Stadium and the New Jersey Department of Transportation to see what they're doing to help improve the situation. However, none of them have returned our requests for comment. In Secaucus, New Jersey, from Montclair News Lab, I'm Jeremy Wall.
On the less expensive side of shopping, we had Raja Martinez, who talks about thrift shopping.
So, Raja, what did you discover when you made this story?
Well, thrifting is one of the best ways for students to save money. Hana Mission is a thrift store that's near campus, only 20 minutes away, and I took my friend with me to help her find some college-friendly budget clothes for this season. Let's check it out. We're here at Hana Mission in Lodi, New Jersey. I'm with Gianna Cruz today, and I'm going to be donating some clothes. Alongside, we are going to be finding some gems at a college-friendly budget.
So as a college student, it's really hard for me to balance a lot of things on a daily basis. So shopping retail isn't something I can do easily.
I am with Gianna Cruz, and she's going to tell me a little bit about her style. You know, what is it exactly that she's looking for to have her set for the season?
I do like a lot of earth tone colors. I'm pretty much looking for warmth, anything for comfort as well, and something stylish.
So here is the first look that we actually found for Gianna.
This is something I would definitely wear to school. This is my personal style. It's very comfortable. I'm pretty sure the jacket would keep me so warm. Just throw a scarf on top. Everything in this outfit is affordable.
That is a steal. Let's check out some comparison price points. Here's a similar plaid trench coat sold at Macy's for $265. The beige button-up top found on Lily Silk for $89.99. Being sold on New York & Company, similar brown pants on sale for $24.97. Black Wallaby Clark shoes sold on Clark's for $140. The retail grand total came to $519.99. Thrift grand total came out to $22. We have a unisex fit. It works for both guys and girls.
It's a really cozy outfit. I'm really comfortable in it. This is something I would wear on a regular basis if I don't feel like being dressy going anywhere. And I'm just really comfortable in it.
And so let's go over some price points. Here's a similar polo beanie sold on Polo for $38.99. A navy oversized jacket sold on Urban Outfitters for $59. A crewneck sweater sold at Nordstrom for $79.50. And black pants sold on Gap for $22.99. Retail grand total came out to $201.47. Thrift grand total came out to $26. Hana Mission is one of my most favorite places to shop. I've been here and I found clothing from Zara, Forever 21, Steve Madden. Those are my go-to places to shop. And so they have them essentially right here in Hana Mission. Not only do I shop at Hana Mission, but I donate my clothes to help the community. Hana Mission isn't like any other thrift store. It's a Christian nonprofit organization dedicated to serving the underprivileged community of Paterson, New Jersey. Montclair State alumni and founder of Hana Mission, Pastor Kim, says Hana in Korean means one. The mission is to help those struggling from lack of resources by fundraising and offering programs to adults and children. Here at Hana Mission in Lodi, New Jersey, I'm Radha Martinez from Montclair News Lab.
Now let's take a look back at some of our favorite stories shown this season.
First up, a mother who tragically lost her son due to gun violence in Paterson.
This rally occurred in Washington, D.C. after the Parkland High School shootings. A year and a half later, there has been little change in federal gun laws. Not much has happened. In Paterson, New Jersey, the gun violence continues. In April, 4 shootings occurred in one 7-hour span. For the family of Jalik Burrows, gun violence is not about statistics or protests. Jalik was shot to death in a drive-by shooting in 2014. It was here on the intersection of North 6th and Temple Street where 3 men opened fire and shot the 27-year-old in the head. The family got a phone call that Jalik had been shot. They hurried to the scene.
They go, what's your son's name? And he says, my son's name, he says, Jalik. And he goes, no, when we used to coach him in football, what did they call him? And he goes, Juice. And the guy goes, that's him.
Though her head knew it was Jalik, her heart couldn't accept that her son was gone.
I was just like, why? He didn't bother anybody. Why? He was a good kid. He was a hard worker. He was about to get married. He was going back to school. He was doing why?
Delwana says her son was filled with hopes for his future.
He wanted to be a mechanical engineer for airplanes. And he was actually registered to start back up the week after, before he got killed.
Jalik's aunt, Machanga Blackman, was devastated by the news.
I felt robbed of my nephew, of course, and I felt robbed of memories that we could have made. He was my first nephew, and that hurt.
Blackman says that the city of Paterson is not doing enough in preventing these killings.
I know that Paterson can't stop the killings. They can't put the guns down for us, but I feel like police need to be more active. They need to do more community policing.
According to NorthJersey.com, Paterson has less cops on the street than it did 10 years ago. Paterson Mayor Andre Saya says that the town is working on hiring more police officers, but recently there was a corruption scandal, and the mayor wants to make sure he hires the right people.
So we just don't want anyone to be a police officer because unfortunately we had 7 crooked cops and they obviously were doing things that were illegal and a poor representation of the department.
The mayor also says that Paterson's commercial curfew ordinance, which requires businesses in high-crime areas to be closed by midnight, has helped police combat crime.
And we've seen a 70% decrease in crime in those areas. So I think it's fair to say there is a positive correlation between our action and the outcome.
Although Mayor Saya is working towards a safer community, Jalik's aunt says that gun violence has become a norm in the city of Paterson.
What upsets me the most is that we've become numb to the killings. Every other day you see RIP on Facebook, and it's become our normal.
One town, one family, and one promising young man dead to gun violence. A new mayor hopes new laws and more police officers will help make a difference. From Montclair News Lab, I'm Emily Alba.
Another important issue we talked about were football players and concussions.
Let's take a look at the story by Leal Abukov.
Kevin Sam from Morristown. To him, playing football was all about being tough.
When I was 17 years old, toughness was being the biggest, strongest, fastest, guy on the field, scoring touchdowns, hitting home runs, getting the girls. To me, that was what tough was.
Kevin Sam knows what it's like to get hit in the head during a football game.
During his senior year in West Morris Central High School, Kevin's life began to unravel. He received the second impact syndrome, which is when the brain swells dangerously after a person suffers a second concussion before the first one has healed. He remembers the game.
We were a yard away from the end zone. Next play, scored a touchdown. But then the following offensive series, I get hit again, and as I'm going to the ground, another defender comes in and goes right for my head. I get up to see why the ref didn't throw a flag, but when I got up, I couldn't feel my legs. So from the waist down, it felt like rubber, and at that point, I knew something was seriously wrong, and I was starting to get scared.
Kevin also remembers the trainer checking him out.
I was telling her my brain hurts and I can't feel my legs over and over and over again. And my dad eventually came down the sideline. Didn't even know who he was. I didn't recognize him. So she immediately called for a helicopter. Basically, as soon as that happened, I collapsed on the sideline, had a grand mal seizure that lasted 15 minutes, wasn't breathing. Then they transported me to a local baseball field where the helicopter picked me up. At that point, I kind of snapped out of it.
After that, football has never been the same in Kevin's eyes. In any given season, 10% of college football players and 20% of high school football players sustain brain injuries. Recent studies show that football injuries to the brain occur every 5 games. Dr. Rafael Lagnigro of AIM Orthopedics in Little Falls explains the importance of the recovery process after the first concussion. He cites the dangers of returning to the field prematurely.
They can have what's called a double impact syndrome, which could just lead to more severe brain injury and long-term permanent effects to possibly, as any brain injury could lead to cognitive issues, neuromuscular issues, motor issues, and if that occurs, then it's more of a serious brain injury.
According to Dr. Rafael, there's not much you can do to eliminate concussions.
I don't think they're ever going to develop a helmet or anything that can actually avoid having a concussion because the injury occurs within the skull. So no matter how much protection you have outside of the skull around your head, the brain can still move depending on the impact.
David Field, 21-year-old football player at Montclair State University, knows the risk, but his love for football will not stop him from playing.
I'm not scared of getting a concussion. I feel like if you play scared, you will get hurt. So I try really not to think about it.
Now, 29-year-old Kevin has a different definition of toughness.
I can go back and play 1,000 more times. I would just play much differently than how I played before. Really put my health and my safety ahead of anything because I think kids get into this glorified world of playing hurt and being the hero and learning what I've learned. That's really not being tough at all.
For Montclair News Lab, I am Layal Abukaf.
Over the last 30 minutes, we've been taking you behind the scenes to meet our reporters. But now we're going to literally take you behind the scenes.
Let's meet 2 of the people that make the show happen.
It takes a number of students to create our weekly magazine show, Montclair News Lab. Everyone plays an important role, from behind the scenes to in front of the cameras, like Caitlin Kurgan and Katie Cameron.
I am the director of Montclair News Lab, and I basically am the person that sits in the control room at the head of the table and make sure that all the shots are correct, make sure everything is in the right order, make sure all the mics are on. It's not all up to me. Director's not the only position. It's all a team. Okay, got it.
No one would watch if it wasn't for another member on her team. Katie Cameron is the show's social media supervisor.
I increased the following that Montclair News Lab has by posting more often and posting more interactive postings that teach our followers what's going on at Montclair News Lab, what the content's about, what the show is about. The hardest part about being the social media supervisor is it's an around-the-clock job. I'm constantly thinking of what to post next. I'm constantly going back and editing my posts because I find an error or something didn't work.
In a field still dominated by men, especially behind the scenes, Montclair News Lab stands out.
The control room is pretty female, so that makes me more comfortable, but it's also taught me that women can have a role in power, and it's really empowering seeing all these women in the control room doing their thing. It's definitely taught me how to work with other women and how to see other people's opinions and get other people's views and see what someone else might think looks better than I think.
For Katie, the learning never stops.
A piece of advice that I would give myself is to not hold back so much, because I can be shy at times. But as the semester went on, I would go to the executive producers and I would say I have an idea. At the end of our conversation, they would say, that's a great idea, do it. As time went on, I got more comfortable. Letting my creativity out has been a lot easier than trying to fit the standards of what I think News Lab should be.
This concludes the very special edition of Montclair News Lab. Thank you all for joining us.
From all of us here at Montclair News Lab,
Happy holidays!